I think this is the most crowded and busiest place that I've recorded in. I'm in a super crowded restaurant waiting for my lunch, and they told me it's going to be 30 minutes. And I'm like, all right, well, I have my laptop with me, so I'll just record the podcast right now. Pretty crowded in here, but that's what I'm going to do. So this is a couple of interesting things that I learned over the past month, mainly from this podcast with different guests on this podcast. I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to start with Joshua Ryan Shaver on episode 573 of this show. And he's made over $600,000 so far from TikTok and Instagram, scaling his urban farming business. Oh my God, is that my food? Wow, thank you. My food is here a lot earlier than I expected, so I'm going to eat. Well, it wasn't 30 minutes for my food to come. It was more like 5. So I ate everything at the restaurant, and now I'm in a cafe. By the way, if you wonder why it was so quiet in the restaurant when I was recording, even though I said it was very crowded, Descript Studio sound is amazing. I'm actually going to include a clip right now of what it sounded like in the restaurant without AI removing the background noise. This is the clip. I think this is the most crowded and busiest place that I've recorded in. I'm in a super crowded restaurant waiting for my lunch. All right, Joshua Ryan Shaver, episode 573. The biggest part of his business is his seed business, which makes around $300,000, $400,000 a year. And it's probably going to make millions soon because he just started this huge partnership. What was so crazy about that is it started because he was making these videos and he had an affiliate partner that was a seed company. So he was making these affiliate videos super cheap for this affiliate partner. And I think he had made it was nothing, like $150 or something. And they started nickel and diming him over literally dozens of dollars. And then he found out that a bunch of sales that he caused weren't attributed to him properly, and he didn't get the commission for the sales. He confronted them. They're like, yeah, we're not going to give it to you. He's like, these are my sales. The referral code is my referral code. And what happened was the company was like, yeah, but they learned about our business through us first. Sure, they converted after they heard you pitch it, but they learned about it from us first. So we're going to say it's our sale. So they were nickel and diming Josh. And Josh is like, I'm not going to work with you guys anymore. I'm going to start my own. He didn't say that. He just stopped talking to them, started his own seed business, which is now a competitor to them. Like I said, making $300,000 to $400,000 now, I think annually, and it's probably going to make millions soon. And it happened because this affiliate partner was treating him unfairly and nickel and diming him. And he's like, I'm just going to do this myself. I think it's a really fun story because I'm sure we've all been through that, where somebody has mistreated us and we're like, they're going to pay. They're going to feel bad that they did that to us. I'm sure we've all felt that at some point. And Josh felt that and he did something about it. And I thought that was he did something about it because he learned how to make videos on TikTok and Instagram. And he talks about that on episode 573 of the show. All right, next one. This is from a recent episode 580 with Nick Musica. And at the beginning of the podcast, he shared his theory as to why Google created the Disavow tool. That's the tool within Google Search Console where you tell Google to ignore backlinks that you got because you are afraid that these are toxic backlinks that could hurt your SEO. You pretty much should never use the Disavow tool. It's a widely known thing. Don't use it. It's going to mess up your rankings. And Nick had a theory as to why Google invented it in the first place. He shared that at the beginning of the episode, but I'm going to reshare it with you here because I think it was so interesting. It's the whole reason that I had him on the episode was to share that part because I'm like, you know what? If he has this to say about Google, I bet he has some more interesting things to say. He's been doing SEO for 22 years. Thought it was a cool insight. Basically, what happened was there were a bunch of Google updates that had SEOs and webmasters really scared. Penalizations were flying left and right, but Google still wasn't that great at sensing backlinks that were meant to manipulate it. So what did they do? They rolled out the Disavow tool a year later, a year after people were super scared. They rolled out the Disavow tool in Google Search Console, and they said, hey, if you're worried that you have some bad backlinks, report them. And if you report them, you're not going to see a penalization. But if you don't report them and we catch them, you're going to get penalized. And so all of these scared SEOs and digital marketers and webmasters, they reported all of their PBNs, all their satellite networks, all the manipulative links that they knew were manipulative that they were using. They reported them to Google because they were afraid that they were going to get caught. Google needed this information so they could figure out what these spammy links looked like, what these fake backlinks looked like. Google used that to fill out its profile of what a spammy link was so it could better catch other spammy links. So it could better catch other people manipulating Google. So it used the fear of the SEOs, the digital marketers, the webmasters to basically get people to turn themselves in to report their own manipulative links so that they could know what manipulative links looked like in mass. They could see a pattern and then use that pattern to catch other bad actors. So I thought that was a super interesting theory as to why Google created the Disavow tool. Like I said, it's just a theory, but with everything that we have learned about how Google search works over the last several decades, it seems possible. I thought it was super interesting. This next one is from Jason Levin, my friend Jason Levin, who came on episode 560 of this episode. Jason shared an interesting way that he is getting people at top tech VCs to read and interact with his newsletter. Not just people who work at the VCs, but also people who have been funded by the VCs. Specifically, Andreessen Horowitz, 16Z, and Y Combinator, which is an accelerator. So Jason uses this tool called Phantom Buster, and he shares how he did it on episode 560 of the podcast. He uses this tool called Phantom Buster, which is a LinkedIn bot, and it just scours LinkedIn. It connects with up to 20 people a day. He warmed up the bot so it wasn't 20 right away, started slow and then got up to 20. And he adds 20 people a day who either work at Y Combinator or Andreessen Horowitz or who have been funded by them. He doesn't actually send a connection request with a message. He does it with no message, as he believes that's more authentic and has a higher acceptance rate. So he just sends 20 connection requests a day to these people with no message. But then once they accept, he pitches them on joining his newsletter. He says, hey, you get a chance to check out my newsletter. It's read by other people at your company and at these companies. And a lot of people do it. And he gets a lot of people who work at top tech accelerators and VCs and who have been funded by these places joining his newsletter as a result. And I think this trick can work for pretty much any industry. So I thought that was a super cool thing that he shared. That was episode 560. The next thing, I was so happy to have these two on my show. This is Mike and Kass Lazaro. They created the first social media management platform. They sold it to Salesforce for $800 million. They came on my podcast on episode 566. They literally pitched Mark Zuckerberg on having ads on Facebook back when Facebook was called the Facebook and it was under 200 people. And they pitched Mark Zuckerberg. They had this like sweet deal with Zuckerberg and Facebook. Gary Vaynerchuk started VaynerMedia from their conference room. It's such a good episode, 566. But they shared the acquisition, how the acquisition happened with Salesforce. And they were invited to Mark Benioff's house, the founder of Salesforce. So Mike Lazaro goes to Mark's house in the Pacific Palisades in San Francisco. It's like two houses joined together. You know, Mark Benioff is a famous multi-billionaire. There are several Salesforce towers now in the biggest cities in the United States. So Mike goes over to the house and Mark Benioff is like, don't pitch me, just show me what you have. And it was a very authentic, it wasn't a pitch. And Mike describes it. He showed how the tool Buddy Media worked, how their platform worked. He did a funny thing though. He did like a funny stunt. He had a campaign going within Buddy Media to see who is the best looking Salesforce executive, which Mark Benioff thought was really funny. And then once he showed Mark Benioff how the specific geographic targeting worked, Mark Benioff was really excited, and that got him to pull the trigger. What actually was happening though, behind the scenes, Google was very interested in acquiring Buddy Media and acquiring the company that Mark Benioff wanted. Mark Benioff wanted it for $800 million. Google was ready to spend $2 billion on it. But Google was going through a lot of antitrust controversy, and Buddy Media had like 9 out of the 10 biggest companies on it. That was Buddy Media, again, is Mike and Kass Lazaro's company. And they were worried that, you know, this acquisition would go through limbo for 2 years and might not get through. And then the $800 million offer might not be there. So they just took the $800 million offer. The reason I like that story is because I think the best pitch is just being honest and being authentic, especially now where there's so many people that are fake. There's more and more people that are fake on social media. I see it myself all the time because so many people will send me a message and they have purchased followers on Instagram and they think that like I can't tell. And they send me this message coming from the frame of like, oh, look at me. I have all these followers. I have way more followers than you, so I'm super cool. But I can immediately tell your followers are fake. There's this guy today who sent me a message like that. He had 5.6 million followers, but he had comments turned off on all of his videos. You know why? Because it's really hard to buy a lot of real looking comments, especially for an account that has 5.6 million followers, to make it look real. There's just so many fake people, and being authentic and being able as well, not having any blockers in front of you, being able to be authentic is such an asset now. Something that happened with me, I was just recording this crowded restaurant before this, and now I'm at this cafe. You can see people behind me. Is the more I recorded, the more I made videos, the more I made podcasts, the less I stopped caring about what other people think. And it made me more authentic. And I'd like to think that my content has gotten better as a result, but I think I've become a better person because I care so much less what other people think of me. I've become a more authentic person. And the last story, this is a theory of mine. I shared it at the end with Nick Musica, and I shared it 2 episodes ago on 581. It was my theory as to why Google created the Google Helpful Content Update. If you didn't listen to that episode, 581, really good episode. People are liking that one. But my theory is Black Hat SEOs copied the top of funnel model that was being used by white hat SEOs. And there was so much sludge, SEO sludge being pumped out that looked like it was made from trustworthy blogs. And it was not. It was like a lot of review articles where the authors hadn't even reviewed the products. And these articles were just jam-packed with affiliate links. Then it became AI sludge once ChatGPT was released. It was all this garbage AI. And Google was like, we can't detect the bad actors making this content from the good actors who they copied. And searchers are getting tired of this and they're leaving search. And it's just worsening our product as a search engine. And so they figured out the content, like they figured out what the content looked like, whether or not it came from good players or bad players. They couldn't detect that. They could only detect what the content looked like. And any website that looked like that, it got hit with the Google Helpful Content Update and has not recovered. And that's my theory, is that you had all of these bad SEOs who were putting out these like really long, several thousand word articles, not giving searchers their answers, jamming their articles full of affiliate links with products they've never tried, holding searchers hostage and then giving them bad information. Google could not tell the good actors from the bad actors. And so Google just got rid of all of it. All of it. That's what I think happened with the Google Helpful Content Update. I'm going to get Lily Ray. I talk about her. I mentioned her stuff. I've been meaning to reach out. I'm going to get her on the show and I'm going to tell her my theory because she talks about the Google Helpful Content Update all the time. It'll be interesting to talk about it with her. But I wanted to share all of these things with you guys. It was just a recap of things basically from the last month, from the last 30 days that I found really interesting from doing this podcast every day. And with that said, this is another day down. Another day down. I think this is episode now 583 of The Edward Show. It is 583 episodes in a row. I have an incredible cup of chocolatey coffee next to me at this cafe. And I finished eating. I was at this Georgian place when I started the podcast. Incredible Georgian place. I got khachapuri and this chickpea lamb soup with potatoes. Oh my gosh. And I think I was like a lot more intense at the beginning of the podcast before I had eaten. And now I'm just super chilled out, even with the coffee. But I'm feeling good. I hope you're feeling good too. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.